Welcome back to the channel, ScooterATVSales.com, bringing you service tips on the Cougar 200 by Vitacci. It's a single cylinder, 4-stroke, fully automatic, full-size ATV. We're going to do a walk around, you guys. Now, this is for the first service or any other service. You always want to inspect your ATV, make sure all the nuts and bolts are tightened around the chassis area. You always want to do a good walk around, always checking your exhaust, your muffler mounts, your rack mounts on the rear. Again, your chain adjustment. I've done numerous videos on chain adjusting on the Vitacci and Apollos, very similar to the Vitacci 200 Pentora, as well as the 150 Pentora, and how to adjust the chain. You guys can look up that video we have on our YouTube channel, and how to adjust your rear chain. Again, these two nuts right here on the top here, the bolts here and the bottom here as well, you want to loosen these, which allows you to move the carrier up or down, tightening or loosening the chain. This has a rear shock, single mono rear shock with a dampener adjuster. You guys can purchase a spanner wrench to adjust the dampening on this. You can pick up a spanner wrench at any tool shop or ATV shop. Always check nuts and bolts on all your wheels. We'll do a walk around here on this side here. This is your oil check here. It screws off here and then screws back on. Now to check it, of course, we'll look at it here. Always check that, see that hash mark on there? We'll do a little up close here. Should always be up to that top of that hash mark. Wipe it down and then put it back in here and then double check. You don't have to screw it all the way back in. And we'll put it right back in. This is where you're going to fill your oil as well, you guys. So if you're doing a service oil change, this is where you're going to fill the oil. And I'll show you where you're going to drain the oil. So you'll drop your oil right here, as shown where my finger's at. See if you guys see that. I have marked that in red. This is your main drop right here. This is the main oil drop right here, oil drain. This stuff here is just your EPA lines here. This is your carburetor, of course, your adjuster over here on this side here. And this is your spark plug right here. So this is on the right side of the motor. So this is where you install your new spark plug if that's necessary. Check always your lines here, your brake lines, making sure everything is in good condition. There's no damage or vandalism on any of the lines when walking around. Now this has the rear disc brakes, and then they have drum brakes in the front. Now the control arms on the Cougar 200, they do have Zerk fittings. And check it out, you guys, on your control arms, Zerk fitting here and one there. On both sides is the same. One here as well. Make sure always that it's nicely aligned here in the front here. And how do you do that? Checking your camber, of course, making sure it's straight, it dries straight. With a 14 millimeter, you'll loosen, I'll show you on this side here, this tie rod right over here where my hand's at. You could put the wrench here, you loosen this up right here, the 14 millimeter, as well as the inside and then the outside. And then with a second open end, you can adjust and you turn this here. Allows you to adjust the camber on the front wheels here. So you have a nice straight drive and wear those tires just right. Again, check nuts and bolts on your bumper over here. These are gas shocks here, air shocks. So you can add that. They're right there here in the bottom here where my finger's at. You just loosen this off, take this cap off, and it allows you to fill it with air, as well as you're going to make adjustments here with a spanner wrench or any other type of wrench that won't damage the shock, making that fine adjustment for you. Again, Zerk fittings up here in the top as well. So you got the lowers up here and then the top as well. Make sure you apply just enough grease, don't overfill them. You do have your badge information here on the manufacturer right here in the front. To make your adjustments on your drum brakes as needed, you're going to adjust your brakes right here on both sides here. So you have two of these on each side here, and it allows you to adjust, turning it clockwise or counterclockwise to loosen or tighten up the drum brakes in the front here. Let's take a walk here to the other side. This is your kickstart, backup kickstart. What you have here, you can always inspect there's a clutch in the back area here and your variator. Make sure everything is in working order. You can take off the cover here and inspect the whole area. Make sure everything's wearing properly. And we got the carburetor here on this side. This does have the choke up here at the hand. So it's really nice, very accessible. So right here at the finger here, you can see it moving here. It does allow you to adjust that choke there for cold starts. Really nice to have on these larger size ATVs. And again, further, this is EPA stuff. Always check your harness, make sure everything's nice and tight, all the zip ties are not broken. And on this side here is a secondary drain plug. Okay, this takes a 17 millimeter, as shown here, on this side here, as well as on the other side. We'll take a walk back onto the other side as well. Again, check your rack, check the chassis, nuts and bolts, use Loctite when necessary. As I mentioned right here, that's going to be your main oil drop, main oil drain plug right here, the 17 millimeter, and that's a secondary if you find it necessary to let out any other residue type of oil. That's would be a secondary area that you can do that with. So make sure you go through your ATVs periodically. Again, they're hard use vehicles. Your first service is very, very important, whether you purchase it from your dealer or you purchase it online and you did the assembly yourself. Go through your ATV. It's a hard use vehicle, and they will treat you for years to come and give you great performance. These are nice ATVs for beginners or intermediate use. They're designed for leisure use. Again, this is the Vitacci Cougar 200 fully automatic single cylinder ATV, you guys. Basic service tips that you need to do, you should learn, and how to do it. And yeah, you'll enjoy your ATV. This is your air box area right here. Some folks will disconnect this here and opt in with a better air filter system like a uni filter or a K&N. It's one of the foam filters you can mount directly on your carburetor. It will filter out the air a lot better, as well as give you a little bit better performance. So hope you guys find this well and you understand. Again, when you buy your ATVs, they do require maintenance and periodic check. When you go out and you ride for hours at a time, when you bring it back home, make sure you check nuts and bolts. Make sure everything's nice and tight. It's just part of regular maintenance. Hope you guys are well. If you need some universal parts, it's scooterATVparts.com. You'll always find me on Instagram at Scooter ATV Sales. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care.